So, taking a jump into the topic, I would like to introduce the first speaker for today, that is Juan Ibáñez. Hi, Juan. Welcome to the webinar, and
Thank you very much.
thank you very much for your precious time. I believe all of us are getting just started with the year, and having such a I would say one of the prime companies in the EO segment, and having you on the webinar is really great. And we all are looking forward to have insightful kind of insight from your company, as well as the kind of products and services that your company has and has been providing throughout the industry. I believe your company is the only one in the EO segment that is presenting today on the webinar. There is no other EO company, so I'm really excited for that. So yeah, the floor is yours, Yuan. You can introduce yourself and then start with the presentation.
Okay. Thank you so much, Omkar, for your very kind words. And thank you very much for inviting me, for having me on board. So my name is Juan Peña. I am the CEO of Orbital EOS, and we are a company specialized in designing and executing solutions based on Earth observation, especially dedicated to maritime domain awareness. So it's very much aligned with today's topic. So I will share my screen. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, you're seeing the first slide, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the tagline of my presentation is using space-based ISR for maritime domain awareness. As I introduced, I'm Juan Peña, and I am the CEO of the company. So this is a brief agenda of my presentation. First of all, I will introduce a little bit about our company and the history of the company, which I think it's quite relevant for the topic. Some case studies, so real examples where we have applied our solutions, our services, and some description about our current customers. So Orbital is a company that was founded some years ago in 2019 by former Spanish Coast Guard officers. So this is me, some years younger, but this is me actually working on board a maritime surveillance aircraft that owns and operates the Spanish Coast Guard. And the main role that we had is to use sensors on board the aircraft to accomplish two main mission goals. First of all, search and rescue at sea, and also oil spill monitoring at sea. We had other, let's say, diverse goals like customs or fishing, surveillance, and so on. But those were the main roles. And actually, the aircraft was very advanced aircraft. We used to call it a flying laboratory because we had very advanced sensors for these tasks, for searching ships and vessels at sea. So search radars and infrared cameras, night cameras, and visual cameras, and also sensors for monitoring and characterizing pollution at sea. So I had the chance to be involved in that operation for 15 years of my professional career, although the involvement of Spanish Coast Guard in this field is currently more than 25, around 50 years of experience in handling maritime emergencies. Is an organization that is highly reputed in the ecosystem of the Coast Guards at international level. And yeah, so this is I would say this is the background of the company. We were involved in real emergencies for a very long time, which is, in our opinion, a very interesting experience to develop technology to solve real problems. So after some time working at the Coast Guard with some colleagues, we decided to fly higher, not only in the romantic way, but also, in the technological way. So we had this reflection, okay, is there a way to improve maritime surveillance? And the answer for us was quite straightforward. You can fly higher, you can use satellites to monitor an area that normally is quite large. If we are talking about the waters of a country normally, It's very dynamic. It's changing all the time. And it's normally remote. So if you use ships or if you use aircraft, they're very powerful tools, but they have to rest, they have limitations, they have endurance limitations, and they imply normally very high operational costs. So since we launched the company, we have specialized in providing maritime intelligence using satellite remote sensing and also ocean modeling. So not only satellite data, but also mathematical models that we use to understand how the ocean behaves. And for instance, how ships drift at sea, or oil spills drift at sea, or even people drift at sea. This is a description of the types of services that we provide. Service portfolio. The first one is what we call proactive monitoring, and it consists on regular surveillance over an area of interest that is normally defined by the customer. It might be the Coast Guard of a country, or a national maritime administration, or environmental agency, or sometimes even large companies like oil companies. Then we have a second type of services, which is emergency monitoring. So we use satellite imagery analytics to provide information, critical information in situations of large emergencies. The third one will be historical analysis. And for that, we use archived satellite imagery to see trends in the past. Let's say we can go back to 2015, and we can see like 9 years of history. And fortunately enough, we have cameras in space. We have satellites that can record that information, and we can analyze that information and put them in maps and in reports. And the fourth one is a forensic study, which is, let's say, a consulting that we do in order to recreate what happened in the context of an accident. The concept of operations is summarized here, but basically we acquire satellite data, satellite images. We pre-process them using normally cloud software and computing software, which is, as you know, satellite images are very large. So you need specialized GPUs in order to process them. Then we analyze the information using a combination between human and artificial intelligence. And we deliver the information, the intelligence, in two ways, through PDF reports, standard PDF reports, and also access to our web platform, proprietary web platform. So I will do a brief description of some case studies. The first one would be this. So July 2024, an oil tanker capsized 25 nautical miles off the coast of Oman. A coordinated search and rescue operation was launched by Yemeni authorities, and our company was hired by the government to provide support to manage the emergency. So the main concern was, first of all, there was a very large vessel capsized that was drifting in open waters, which is a very important threat to maritime traffic. The second one, a potential oil spill could happen because of the release of oil from the tanks of the ship. So we had like two roles to play here. And in order to achieve that, what we use is to combine remote sensing, so satellite observation to detect the ship and detect if there is any oil leaking from the ship, and ocean modeling to predict the drift of the ship, so how the ship is drifting with the currents and the winds, and also to predict, in case an oil spill happens, how it will disperse, how it will move. So you can understand if the coastline is threatened by a potential oil spill. So we did that during the whole emergency, twice per day. Satellite images about four times per day, and modeling the position of the ship and the spill twice per day. And we provided this information to the Maritime Coordination Center, so they were prepared in case something happened. The second case study I would like to share with you, it's an accident that happened in the Red Sea. A very large container ship experienced a fire while sailing in the Red Sea. The intensity of the fire compromised the structural integrity of the vessel, leading to its eventual sinking a week later, with reports indicating a lot of containers floating at the site of the sinking. The company was hired by a salvage company to help in the detection and geolocation of all those floating containers, or at least most of them. So this is a very, a very clear picture of what we did. We used satellite imagery to locate those containers and to generate maps of those containers where they were located and the dispersion of those containers. And we also generated, reports where you could see the position of each container and the location in a map. So they could, let's say, manage the response effectively. And the third case I want to share with you, it's a very general case that most of the maritime authorities have, which is maritime domain awareness. It's normally a priority for almost all of them because it's their mandate. And especially understand unidentified vessels that are involved in illicit activities is especially crucial. The company is currently involved in providing this service of ship detection and monitoring, and especially dark vessel intelligence to different organizations around the world. Some examples here. On the bottom left, you have an example of how we locate ships in a satellite image, in a radar satellite image, but we can also even zoom in and use very high resolution images to understand the context around the ship, or even the integrity of the ship. If there is any kind of fire, if there is any kind of explosion, if the structure of the ship has been damaged. And here, description of the companies that we have worked with at international level, but also in the GCC region. We are currently working for the Saudi government, for the Omani government, for companies like Saudi Aramco, Shell, or Repsol that have presence in the GCC countries also. Smith, which is Smith and Blue Tack, which are salvage companies, and also the European Maritime Safety Agency. And that's it from my side. Thank you so much for the attention. I'm happy to address questions after all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Juan, for the wonderful presentation. I do have one question, basically, from the maritime domain awareness perspective. So the kind of satellite imageries that you use, you mentioned, so you use the data from all other satellites, or do you also have the plan to launch your complete own system specifically for each applications in maritime? For example, we see, I think the current very hot lead in the Earth observation domain is SAR, which we see quite a lot of gap is there, especially in Asia and Asia Pacific. So with respect to that, do you have plans to basically launch something completely of your own, move from the downstream to the upstream as well? Or do you have any other plans basically in the future for the maritime domain awareness?
Okay. Thank you so much for the question. I think it's very interesting. We are seeing some approaches in the market like this. This is definitely, I would say, this is a very clever movement and very interesting one. This is not in the short-term plans in the company, but definitely in the long term. Definitely in the long term. I think understanding the problem, understanding the customer, and then designing the satellite constellation on the basis of this is a very nice approach. We see a different approach in the market, which makes us a lot of headaches, generates a lot of headaches, because sometimes let's say the sensors are not designed with any specific use case in mind, which at the end is problematic sometimes. So answering your question, in the short term, no, but in the long term, yes, it would be definitely something we would like to pursue, to design satellite system for specific use cases. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Coming from a EO background, I'm always curious, for such interesting presentations. Of course, then I shifted into SATCOM. Now I'm both into it, EO and SATCOM. So, but yeah, EO
Mhm.
remains one of my, I think, favorite place to juggle with in the business of the space industry. Thank you
Yeah,
very much, Yuan, again.
you're welcome. Happy to talk again about this on car.
Absolutely.